Hi everyone, this is Dark Kitties and welcome back to Naval Creed. Today we'll be reviewing the next video for Audacious, but before that we do have a little bit more information for a ship that will be coming out soon, this one being another British carrier. So let's show you what we have on that ship. Alright, so this is the HMS Victorious that was previewed and talked about earlier. It is another tier 9, so the first tier 9 that is not a tech tree ship, and I'm pretty sure it's an illustrious class that has some major upgrades, mainly in the form of jet fighters, these being F4 Phantoms. So we have a couple video or images here you can take a look at. It looks very, very small with these aircraft on it. Though if you do take a look, you have quite a few secondaries. This view is actually one of the better ones. You have, looks like, two on the left side, two on the bow, and then maybe three or four on the right side. So maybe a decent secondary ship. However, I don't really know. Obviously, I don't have any stats. It's just a few pictures at this time, but at least it's some news in regards to the ship. There's still quite a few of them that we have not heard anything in regards to, such as USS Robin. There's also USS Hornet. There's even USS Intrepid that we had pictures of that last year. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. I don't think I posted anything or talked about that yet. But there's at least three or four carriers that are supposed to be in the works still that we just haven't seen anything in regards to. So yeah, these are the pictures that we currently have. Not much, but at least it's something. So without further ado, let's go back to our game. Alright, so here we are back to the game. The second video for Audacious. So we'll be going over the same layout, which is Mark 1 with the 2, 2, and 1 for 2 fighters, 2 torpedoes, and 1 dive bomber squadron. And we had a really good game yesterday with these bombers. However, today we'll be using the alternate bombers, which has slower torpedoes, but they do more damage, and more damaging bombs, however, less chance of a fire. So I'm actually looking forward to see how these dive bombers are going to work, because we were fine with the torpedo bombers yesterday. We got a ton of damage, but the dive bombers were kind of disappointing, especially with only having the one squadron. So maybe we can have a little bit more luck with them, and hopefully we'll be able to lead enough with our torpedo bombers to actually get enough damaging hits. So let's toss her into our next game. Alright, here results the game. We have 1 carrier, 3 lions, a Fargo, Worcester, a Fargo, and a Worcester. So the cruisers, of course, have really strong AA. But I do like this map, and honestly, this might not be a terrible game. We can definitely use our dive bombers against those. Well, actually, it's technically all targets since there's no destroyers. And none of these ships are necessarily fast. So we should be able to hopefully land enough hits with our torpedoes. And I would actually think if we're going to go after these battleships first, we do not need to split up our fighters as anti-aircraft bait. So we can possibly have a little bit of air superiority role with our fighters this game. Against the cruisers, I will have to use them as AA bait. But hopefully my team can actually take down the cruisers for me, so I don't have to lose a ton of aircraft. I don't expect to get a lot of damage numbers this game. My goal right now is to try and take out the battleships, and by the time that is done, hopefully my team will have taken out the cruisers, and then that'll just leave everyone to take care of the carrier at the end. I just really love the look of this ship. She's so nice. Alright. So all of our aircraft are heading into the air here. We have 26 spare fighters, 26 spare torpedo bombers, and 13 spare dive bombers. So I'm pretty sure that's the same as yesterday. We do have health buffs and speed buffs applied at this time, so do keep that in mind. This is not the base ship. And let's get this party started. So we already have 1 lion sighted. Let's get our aircraft into position. Okay, so we're gonna go after this one. So Fargo It has strong AA, but it's definitely not as strong as Worcester. So I should be able to get strike through still. Let me just position my fighters in a slightly better position here. Alright, back to my torpedo bombers. Alright, so we have the slow torpedoes. So maybe that will be enough lead. And then bring our dive bombers over here. These torpedoes are so slow. But it does look like that was a relatively decent attack. All torpedoes that were launched were able to hit. And then let's see here. Dive bombers. Can we get any good damage with our dive bombers? Not really. That was kind of disappointing, honestly. Alright, yeah, our fighters were kind of getting chewed out there. There's a ton of AA right now. Alright, so we're going to try and take out this one fighter squadron and then back off. Because we already lost one. And we're losing a lot of aircraft in Squad 2 as well. Alright, so we're going to... Well, I was trying to move away. I think we're still going to lose all of Squad 2 if this keeps up. Come on. It's one catapult fighter. We're seriously going to lose this? Oh, we just barely managed... Never mind. Alright, so... all of our aircraft are now back on the carrier. We do have another Lion here for an attack. However, this time I would like to use my fighters as AA bait since it doesn't look like they will be very useful in air superiority right now. I'm not quite sure why I'm only going half speed. Now we can go half speed since we need to cap the base. Oh, we have a Lion heading towards us. That's not good. Alright, well, let's see here. Our torpedoes were able to do quite a bit of damage the first attack. Our dive bombers were still pretty disappointing. But let's see what we can do this time. Maybe something like that? I'm really not used to these slow torpedoes, so I will be missing quite a few attacks. Though it looks like this game I'm doing relatively decent. And I am getting a ton of damage on these battleships. And I should be able to finish up this Lion with dive bombers. Something like that. No, why are you doing that? Well, it was a good setup, but as soon as I try and move... Alright, so this is being a pain in the butt, but that's fine. We have all the time in the game right now. Alright, so let's bring our torpedo bombers again for the next strike. I think we're going to work down this middle Lion so we can get the most damage we can get, because the first and the last Lion are pretty much one-shots if you get it right. Alright, so let's see how that is for a torpedo drop. Let's bring our dive bombers back out. Fighters over there. That looks to be pretty decent for torpedoes. Awesome, wow, we were able to kill almost a, what was that, a full health battleship in one attack with that? That's pretty Impressive, actually. So these torpedoes are plenty powerful enough, as you can easily see. However, I do think that the faster ones would be easier to use. And so all the cruisers are sunk now, and the battleships are almost sunk, as predicted, and then that'll leave us with a carrier, which we are heading to right now. Alright, so let's see here. Neither line is in really any danger of sinking, so it doesn't really matter which one we go against. I think this first one will be best. Alright, so that was pretty decent damage, I would say. Alright, let's get our torpedo bombers ready for this carrier, since this battleship is either going to be sunk by my team, and if not, I can just use my dive bombers afterwards to sink her. I'm going to bring out my fighters because we're going to be dealing with the carrier, so of course we're going to be under attack here. That's fine with me. I don't really want to get into a secondary brawl, but if it happens, it happens. Not like much is going to happen anyways, though. Alright, going to use my fighters as AA bait, since the carrier is one of the stronger AA ships, though we might have to go after these torpedo bombers. Alright, so we have these slower torpedoes. Let's see if something like that is going to work. Alright, so that was pretty decent. Let's see, how are we doing? We're dodging as well. Those look pretty slow. Maybe the bot carrier matches what layout you have. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. Alright, so let's see if our dive bombers can get any good damage. Three bomb hits for not even 3,000 damage, so that armored deck did help that carrier in that case. Well, let's get our fighters back out. Again, our AA is proving amazing as always. We always have to love carrier anti-aircraft defenses. They're the strongest in the game, at least in my opinion, especially at these higher tiers. You're completely untouchable. Alright, let's bring our torpedo bombers back out. Dodging as always. Going after these next groups of torpedo bombers. We still have 30 seconds on our defensive AA. Actually, let's use our dive bombers again. I want to see if we're able to do anything effective with those. Dodge again. The dive bomber attack that we were just under did not do literally anything. Alright, and now our defensive AA is down. But that's alright. We should be able to finish up this carrier with the dive bombers if it works correctly. Oh, that's actually not a... Oh, I didn't want to drop yet, but that's fine. Alright. Fighters engaging the torpedoes, and I guess it looks like we will have to use our torpedo bombers. Fine with me. Easy to dodge. However, this carrier is maneuvering quite well in order to try and avoid my attacks, though I think that should seal her fate right there. We finally got some damage from the dive bombers, only in the form of a fire though. And that should be the carrier sunk. There we go. Awesome. So let's see how we did. So we easily owned the entire carrier. That was not a problem. And we were able to do 234,000 damage, 3 ships sunk, 33 torpedo hits, 11 bomb hits, 61 aircraft shot down, 1 fire, 4 floodings, 1 capped base for 9,500 base XP. We did no damage in fires. We did not have a single fire. We did have a fire. Interesting. Alright, well, we got 1,000 damage in flooding for whatever that did. 215,000 damage in torpedoes, and 17,000 damage in bombs. So again, our bombs didn't really do anything, but in the long run, our torpedoes were really, really good damage dealers. If you actually looked at the damages, almost every single ship we did 59,000 damage on, except the carrier, because she doesn't have 59,000 damage. Regardless, though, the ship is really, really good against battleships and enemy carriers. Destroyers, she can be okay. And then cruisers, you can one-shot them if you can. However, at this tier, they really have some strong AA. So you might want to try and avoid them and let your battleships or other ships on your team take them out like I did in that game. So I really, really like this ship. As you can see, these last 2 videos have been really, really good and powerful. And tomorrow we'll be going over the next layout, which is exactly the same as the one we've had, except we get another squadron of dive bombers. And we'll also be using the original aircraft for the bombers. So fast speed and better fire chance for the additional dive bombers we just received. Look at all these aircraft. It's amazing. So thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow.